Hello, and welcome to Your Brand Express podcast, the podcast where business owners, authors, coaches get a chance to articulate their processes and how they express their brands. With your hosts, Carl and CJ Aline. Get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and get a notepad and enjoy the ride. All right, everyone. We are with the man, Leonard Egerton. How's it going today?
It's going good, but it's not just the man. It's the man and the woman. You know,
the man and the woman.
Yes. I have a partner, Clarissa, who's my wife and my business partner. Unfortunately, she can't be here today. She's a little bit under the weather, a lot under the weather. I'm glad to be here. Glad I had opportunity to speak with you guys. You know, let's have a real fruitful conversation.
Fruitful conversation. I love that. And you two are owners of Frugal Bookstore.
That's correct. Frugal Bookstore. We're located in what is now Nubian Square. For those of you who are my age and older, you probably know it as down Dudley. You know, it's still Dudley. To me,
still Dudley,
you know,
still me too.
yeah, that's right. We're actually located in the space that a Nubian Notion had their bookstore in, and we've been here for 7 years now. So we're standing on some big shoulders.
Standing on some big shoulders. Legacy.
And hopefully, we're able to extend the legacy through our family.
Well, I tell you what, you're doing it. You are 7 years, almost a decade, basically, right?
That's only in this location 7 years. We've been doing it since 2008.
Wow.
15 years. We've
15
been in
years.
business.
I stand corrected.
We were in the mall for, what was it? From 2008 to 2016. 8 years.
And so, Leonard, so this is going to be a powerful interview. And here's why. I said that word legacy. And, you know, when people think about legacy, they think about family, which is very important. When you have a business that impacts the community in so many ways, that is such a phenomenal legacy. That's your family. That's your family extending their legacy to other people. That's you extending your roots into the community. And our audience, we have, you know, service providers, right? We have authors, we have coaches, and, you know, our podcast goes worldwide, you know, so just for our audience to know, you all are making history in Boston, Massachusetts, literally. And that's powerful. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
It's humbling. It's exciting. It's like, wow, we're really doing this. Look, because like you say, it's not just us. You know, we've literally watched children grow up who live across the street in Orchard Park or up on Warren and Martin Luther King Boulevard in that area, whose parents walked them to the bookstore or drove them to the bookstore when they were infants. And they are now teenagers in middle and high school, and they come to the bookstore. So when you say the legacy is extending, it extends that way. You know, matter of fact, next door to us, there's a brother at where we live. There's a brother. I don't know his name. Clarissa's more familiar with him. He told us on Halloween night, he said, I used to go to the bookstore. You don't remember me. And I still go to the bookstore, you know, and he said he's been going there. I think he's 18 now. He had been going there since he was younger, you know, and I just didn't remember him. But Clarissa remembered him. And I often get people who say that who are either, you know, in their early 20s or late teens who said, I've been coming to this bookstore all my life.
Wow.
Or my parents have been buying books. I know you because I get books. My parents bought books and gave us books. We may not have gone to the bookstore, but we were with the bookstore because these books came from there because it's the only place we can get them from.
Ooh.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's something else. It's also it's a big responsibility because we took on the moniker changing minds one book at a time. We came up with that because of, in my, I would say in my generation, there was a saying that, you could put, if you want to hide things from Black people, put it in a book. It was also said that, the literacy rate amongst Blacks in these communities is low. So what could we do? I know books changed my mind. It changed the way I thought. It changed the way I looked at things. Books took me, like you said, this is worldwide. People can see us. I've gone to Africa, never been there physically though. I've been all over the world from reading books. So it's when I say it's humbling, it's like that huge responsibility of just being able to speak about it right now and speak in the positive that we've been in business for 15 years doing this it's incredible.
Shout out to Frugal Bookstore. Shout out to Frugal Bookstore. What a blessing. Well, yeah. I tell you what, I'm excited. CJ, can you get us warmed up? Can you warm this podcast episode up?
For sure. The first question I got to ask you, Leonard, is like, you got to tell us about your business. Like, what inspired you to like start and like get started with, selling books?
It absolutely was not intentional. I was unemployed and I knew someone who worked at what is called Frugal Furniture. And at Frugal Furniture, this guy, Bob Romano, who is my mentor to this day, he started these furniture stores, one in Roxbury and one in Mattapan. So he had this idea that he would put books in each of the stores, books by authors who look like the people in the community, because he's a big reader. He didn't see that anywhere in our community, no bookstores. So he started putting books, these red racks. If you've been in here, you've seen our red racks. We've since changed them and got new racks. But he had these red racks filled with all these books. The intention was if you come into the furniture store, you see furniture, you see these books, you might get on the chair, the lazy boy he's trying to sell, and pick up a book and read it, lay on the mattress, the bed he's trying to sell, sit on the couch or whatever. And that started his business. I was looking for a job. And one day I knew a brother who was working there, and he knew that I was looking for work. And he said, come on down. The guy, Bob, he's hiring. I don't know what he's hiring for, but he's hiring, because he had the books and he had the bookstore. The furniture store. So I went down and I met with him, and he said to me, how would you like to help me build a book business? And that was the first time I saw it. And I'm like, oh, shoot, look at all these books. I read a lot of books, but I had never seen that many books with the faces on them or the characters on them that look like I looked. First time ever. And I've been to different bookstores in my lifetime and had never seen that many books in one place. So obviously I jumped on the opportunity, and Bob asked me if I would help him build the business, primarily a business for the schools, selling books to schools in the neighborhood, because even where we live, there's like 2 or 3 schools right in walking distance, and they buy books. So it was his idea, let's see if we can sell these books to these schools. Now, the books that we sell to schools are not the books we have in the bookstore. There's choice few of them, but he didn't have the confidence in the bookstore being a viable business, But I said to myself, I'm gonna sell these books to people in our community. And at that time, I had met Clarissa. She was working a real cushy bank job. And as we were courting, I asked her if I had an opportunity to start a business and if she wanted to be partners in the business. She came on first as an employee, helping us with the books. And then she, of course, we fell in love, and she fell in love with the bookstore, the idea. And we started working together. And I believe it was March of 2008. There's a television station, is it BNN? Boston, I think it's Boston News Net. No, not Boston News Network.
Something like that. I think so. Something
right,
News
it's
Network.
in Eggleston Square now. They were in the Washington Park Mall also. They had a location diagonally across from us. They moved. And I said to Bob, this is the opportunity to have a standalone bookstore. And that's when he sold me and Clarissa the bookstore. We moved across the hall. And at that time, I believe Reebok was across from us, which is now, I think it's Marshall's that was there. And we just kept it going. We've been in business ever since. And it was, like I said, it wasn't intentional, CJ. I was looking for employment, brother. And it a blessing landed in our laps.
It's powerful. That is powerful. It's interesting too. But wait a minute. Let's take a step back too. Now, you all are African American owned business, African American owned bookstore.
That's right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. It for us, when I was growing up, I don't remember a bookstore that was African American owned. Later in the years, there was a brother, Lloyd, who had a book cart, and he would sell books downtown Crossing. All the what they call hood novels, the Black academia books, a lot of nonfiction books, but mostly fiction. Lloyd in the book cart. It was the Black Library, he called it. And after we bought the business, he started purchasing books from us. But there was also a store, Jamaica Way Books. It was in Jamaica Plain on Center Street. And it was family owned. They since closed. But other than Jamaica Way Books, the Black Library, and I believe there's a bookstore in Springfield. It's not a full-fledged bookstore. They sell books and gifts. We're the only #1 Black-owned bookstore in Boston, and have been for a number of years. So it's a big honor. It's a tradition that we're trying to pass on. To start your family reading at our store, because we know reading is fundamental. It may sound corny, but it is. It starts with reading. And where else can you get books for toddlers, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, first grade, second grade, but in our store, So there's a big significance to being the only Black-owned bookstore in Boston.
Wow, brother, that resonates, man. It's interesting. We had a couple of guests on last week that actually for an episode that's coming out this week, actually, and we talked about the mind, and how important it is to use the mind, and it's so easy to get caught up and stuck in life, but reading's so important to free up the mind, to see the possibilities and the things that we can do and accomplish, whether it's as individuals or together. So you saying that resonates, and being the only African American, bookstore, that's huge. That's legacy right there.
Yeah,
So salute to you, brother, and you and Clarissa, you and your lovely partner.
Yes, and you know what, we've been able. It hasn't always been easy, but it's been fun. It's a grind. It's a real grind to stay relevant, to stay afloat, but it's well worth it. I can't see myself doing anything else right now in life, unless I really had to. I'm pouring all my sweat and blood into this venture.
That's another word right there, CJ. Passion. So we got legacy and we got passion.
That's right. Passion.
That's some passion. That's some serious value, brother. Woo.
Another question I have for you, just what inspires you, I guess, to like build a community? I feel like another word I would say is community, like Black community. What inspires you to really build that community with your bookstore and people around it?
Wow, good question. I mentioned earlier that we Blacks, I'm gonna say for our community here, were looked upon as non-readers. Yeah. The literacy rate in the schools were low. And I grew up reading books. So that is not a totally true statement, either one of them. So having the bookstore is like, we're able to provide to the community knowledge. We're able to provide to the community what I would say a place to be. We're able to provide to the community outlets through the different types of books we have to take your mind anywhere you want to go from the perspective of people who look like you, who look like me. You walk into other bookstores and you may see a smidgen of books, a couple of shelves. But when you walk into our bookstore, 99% of the books look like and are about people like us, written by people like us. The stories are more able, we're more able to identify with the stories. That's the piece, one of the pieces that why connecting it with the community is so important, because a literate community will grow together. And that's one thing that you cannot overlook, and that's to have a literate community. You have a literate community, you have people who know how to uplift. You have people who know how important education is. You have people who know how important it is to have financial literacy. If as many people as you can be literate in our community, the higher we can be lifted. That's the connection with the community that I'm proud of, because a book, a book. This is about the sacred Nile, Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan. You can go here and just look at things, and read about those different places in Africa, So it's knowing that we have an effect on people in this community and then the broader community, because we have people who patronize us who live outside of our communities. Knowing that you're affecting them, that we've chosen the books that they now read and it's in their minds, that's a big thing.
Right.
It's huge. It's really huge because the impact can be great.
Wow. Whew. That's powerful. So it's interesting. There's that buzzword that people use now, influence, and there are multiple audiences that you influence. People in our community, people outside of our community, people in the schools, which includes the students and staff and family members. That there's and even the potential to influence.
That's right.
That's so rich.
Yes,
And it makes me proud. Makes me proud for our community. CJ, side note, Skillful Monday. That's something we do as our family. We need to take a trip down there and use one of our Skillful Mondays to bring the siblings out, and let's get a Skillful Monday at Frugal's.
Okay,
I love that. Man. It's like reading is like.
Look forward to that.
For sure, we gotta make it happen. Definitely. Okay. I think reading is like mental exercise. Like I feel like we need to do it. I need to be just get more involved with reading, mental workouts, physical workouts, going to the gym. That's considered that like just as important because your mental is like 50% of what you do.
It's self-care, brother.
Yeah.
In the book, in reading, you have to use your mind. I went to Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I went to see my father, LJ's grandfather, and he has dementia. So he's not remembering a lot of things. He doesn't remember a lot of things. And the exercise, and I mentioned that to say that I hope it's not hereditary, because I read to it. It's like lifting the weight, the barbell, the push-up. You have a muscle in here. Your brain is a muscle, and you have to exercise it. So it's part of your self-care physically, even though the mind is infinite. Just think how much you can have inside your mind for reading. You can just pour it in there, and it's absolutely necessary to read and to continue reading. You don't have to devour books. It's just the exercise of reading consistently. It keeps your mind sharp. I know a lot of young people who don't like to read. Oh, yeah, but you read on your phone. You can read articles. You can read different things on your phone. But there's nothing like picking up a book and just being able to read it. My favorite book is the autobiography of Malcolm X. My ultimate favorite book, because in there he read the dictionary from start to finish, and I did the same. Just because Malcolm said so. And that has helped me. I can't count how many ways it has helped me from knowing. I can't say I know every single word in the dictionary by heart, but I know a lot of words. It helps with writing. It helps with conversing. It helps with a lot, brother. So reading is like, it's really, when I say fundamental, as corny as it sounds, it's necessary to keep you sharp and keep you crisp, your mind.
Wow, that resonates. It's interesting. One of the conversations CJ and I had this conversation multiple times, and one of the biggest things I share, is like besides spirituality, right? Which it's included with that too, but always stay curious, one, and always work on increasing your learnability. Because no matter what you do in life, you can learn it.
That's right.
10, 20 years from now, things will change. Culture will change.
That's
society will change. If you're working on your learning ability and you're continually curious, guess what?
That's right.
Put in their passion too. You're going to be all right.
You're going to be okay, because that it keeps you sharp.
Right.
You got, CJ, you have so many years ahead of you. And what you know right now is a smidgen of what you could get to know in the next 5 years, in the next year, if you're a reader. Just like Carl said, things are going to change in the future. You want to stay abreast so that you can stay afloat in this society. Reading helps that. I don't think that as much as they are banning books, and they're banning certain books, I don't think that the society at large is going to go for the banning of books, period. All books, because it's too ingrained in the culture to read, so more power to the book.
More power to the book. I love that. I love your words, Leonard, man. Your passion. Are you a public speaker too?
Nah.
Okay, we gotta talk about that.
I'm bashful, brother. I'm really bashful.
You're killing the game right now, dude. You're it's like you were born for this. And I can't wait for us to share this episode because I think a lot of people will get a lot of value from it. That's a side note. We're gonna talk about that afterwards. But our next question is, hey, what do you think are the most important qualities for anyone looking to increase and impact their community? Because, again, this community, this audience right here, business owners, service providers, podcasters, authors, like if they want to impact their community, what do you think are some important qualities to have?
Passion is definitely one, which could be drive. Another good quality, patience. Patience, definitely patience with our community. Another quality, I would say, to be open. To be open. Those are three qualities I think as business owners, service providers, I think you should have in order to be successful, because those qualities, when you're able to connect those qualities with other people, it's a beautiful thing because people want to be open with each other. There's so many blinders and doors shut and people going within because they don't want to share for whatever reasons. So if you can when you're able to get people to, because everybody has it, whether it's minuscule or they're big on them, everybody has it. You just got to learn how to exercise it. And I think exercising those three qualities will help enrich community.
I love it. And I love what all of them are great. Passion, drive. We had those as one, but I had to put the drive in there too. That's important. And the patience, patience is such a lost quality nowadays, but so important because there's so much that comes about with patience, just waiting for something. You get more of an epiphany. You're able to sit and let the soot of busyness settle. And just get more understanding. And so that when you said that, I'm like, wow, yep, I love that.
Things come to you.
Things come to you.
Yeah.
Things come to you. That's powerful. And then you mentioned the openness. I'm like, that's something that some business owners, a lot of business owners could be afraid to do, and what I see with what you and Clarissa do, you're open to ideas and so many other things, but with that openness that you have, you're able to transfer that to other people to be open. Right. Whether it's their minds being open, whether it's them, like even me and CJ being open to bringing our family there, to have a family time, to learn,
It's an inviting openness.
Ooh, an inviting openness.
That's the aura you feel, you sense. People have told us that. We love going there. They're so cool. There's conversations in here that we have with total strangers that they weren't able to have with their dearest friends sometimes, you know, counterparts. And that openness, it's really like intoxicating when it comes to it being inviting. Because you don't get it a lot of places. You don't feel it in a lot of places that you go. Business-wise, you know, even family-wise, you know. So for us to possess that is really serious.
Wow. That's some serious content right there, man. Woo! Inviting openness. Woo! You better coin that, brother. You better coin that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about Carl saying about being open, coining it. So.
Right. Man, it's important. I tell you, you know, and I mean, you said it, but I see it in you and Clarissa. I mean, I see it. It's you obviously are a beacon of light when it comes to having that inviting openness, you know.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, it resonates because there are people I know in other communities, even in the dance community, that talk about frugals. And that invited openness has them showing up or had them showing up, you know, in certain seasons doing events there or doing book readings or book clubs there. And it's I'm like, of course, that's my response. Of course, I've seen it without even having a conversation with you directly.
Right.
So it's cool, you know, the fact that you've already left that, you and Clarissa already left that legacy, and it's going on, and you can see the ripple effects already without having. Now we're having a conversation, but even before that, you know, wow, really cool.
Right.
What have been like your biggest like challenges being a bookstore manager? Like, you know, there's a lot of upsides to it. You learn a lot of experience, but I want to know like what's been like your biggest challenge so far, or some of your biggest challenges?
Our biggest challenge is having people work with us, for us, who want to be in the business and not just want a job. Because you won't have all those qualities that we've been talking about, if you're not a person who doesn't enjoy working in a bookstore. That has been a big challenge. You know, we've had a number of employees start, not finish for different reasons. Some people think they really, you know, they'll come in, oh, I love to work in a bookstore. I read so many books. I said, you won't work for us because you won't have time to read books, you know. So I know they're looking for a job, and I get it. However, we have to stay the course of this being a legacy business. We have to stay that course. And what I mean by that is we want folk who are willing to grow with us, help us build the business. Because if you can help us build the business, you become a part of the business, a part of the legacy, a part of everything that comes out of this. And unfortunately, there's not even a dearth or a, how do I say it? There's not a shortage of jobs out here, you know, but there's an attitude out here, I think, that a lot of people don't want to do this kind of work. You know, because it's physical, it's interacting with people, and a lot of people don't want that. They want, I can do it from at home. You can't. We're not hiring from at home people because you can't engage. This is somewhere you can't tell a person, if a customer or a person walks in, says, I'm looking for a gift, I'm looking for a book for my 3-year-old child. You can't do that over the internet, you know. Right. it's a business where it's interactive. It's people to people, you know, and that has been a big challenge. It's been and part of that has been disappointing because of we want our families to work in the bookstore. We want it to truly be family owned and operated. And that hasn't worked out, for different reasons. But that has been the biggest challenge.
Like challenges in a way, like sometimes you might be looking for something and you might not receive it. But I think it's like helpful to like think about your core values. Like you guys think about your core values, what you guys stand for, and that kind of determines like and I like that because sometimes you can just have, in a way, you can just try to like put other stuff on your table that's not for you.
Right.
For instance, like, just putting stuff like, oh, I see how they're doing it. Let's try to hire other people to make sure we have more stuff flowing. But you guys stick to your core values of kind of what you're looking for in attitude and just, having that invite feeling. So I love that.
That's right. You hit the nail on the head, brother. I couldn't have said it better.
I love that. Core values. And but just hearing, it's like, it's great. You're educating us, and it's great to get the education about not just a bookstore, but a movement,
right?
Community,
right.
With core values. Right. And it doesn't just apply to books, but it applies to so many different areas of someone's life.
Right.
Personal, professional, and it's like, and it's interesting because we're in an interesting time right now because, the pandemic, right? Coming from the pandemic, right. People are trying to get back into a certain swing of things, which is so different now, but it's a great opportunity to reevaluate our core values.
That's right. I agree.
The advantage, but the advantage you have is that you already got your core values. You know what I mean? So that's a great opportunity for people to learn about your core values, but also it gives the opportunity to put up a mirror and say, wow, what are my core values with what I'm doing personally and professionally?
Right.
Wow. That resonates, man.
We're like models, we to emulate, hopefully. We want people to look to us and be like, wow, that's a good thing they do. How can I do something like that? How can I help? How can I help extend it? How, just be helpful with it. So it's a part of the responsibility, knowing that, that we are looked upon as providers in that way, And sometimes for me, it's as simple as, man, I just like doing this. I love doing it. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, we see your passion, man. We see your passion. And it's interesting because it's like, my background, I have a marketing background. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, service providers. I think about service providers, but I'm like, you're going the extra mile. You're not just being a service provider. So I'm brainstorming right now. I'm like, wow, service provider, community provider. You're giving all that value to the community. Right. And so I have a question to speak about service providers. Like, what tips would you give service providers who want to make a difference in their communities?
The way things are now in society, you have to be more engaging. I would say that's the number one thing. You have to be more engaging. I think that the old style of doing business, it doesn't always work nowadays. You have to be more engaging. You depending on your service, you have to meet people where they are. I would say that that's the biggest thing. You have to be more engaging.
More engaging. I can see that. And it's interesting because with what you all do, right? It's like you have a classy approach. You guys have a classy approach to how you do it. You know, so I think about, yeah, being engaged, and I agree 100%, you know, but it's the idea of someone being engaging or a service provider being engaging is so important, and also meeting people where they're at, like you mentioned. And that's so cool. But it's like you and Clarissa, you bring a certain personality to it that's inviting. So it's like you created that environment already, but it's naturally who you are.
Right. Right. And that's what makes it fun also, because we love doing it. You know?
Right.
Clarissa's a big reader, even though she listens to books now. You know, I don't listen to books, I read them.
You got to use the eyes, huh? I ain't mad at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody, I guess, just starting a community in a way? Like, you know, there's some people that maybe want to start to do a bookstore or like do something like that, but like what encouragement would you give to them trying to start?
Well, I would say that we don't want anyone else to build a bookstore in this community. When you understand not just the legacy, but the long-term value of having a business that is rooted in the community, it takes a lot to get to that point. We're not even totally there yet. And so competition right now for us is not, it doesn't look good from our point of view. I could say, though, for anyone who wanted to start a business in our community, the first thing you probably would want to do is to engage the community in a way where you are open to their advice as to what they want in their community. Don't be the person who's like, oh, well, I think you need this. You know, I think you want to engage the community and ask what they want in their community, because we know what we want. And from there, I would suggest that you really educate yourself, which takes reading a lot, on those different subject matters or those different services that you're thinking about providing for the community that you're in. And you build friendships, you build partnerships with the people in the community. Allow your business to be a reflection. Whether you're serving soup, let it be a reflection of the people in the community. I think that those are some of the biggest things that you can consider when you think about wanting to open a business in the community, because it takes the community to keep you going. You know, you can't, people have to, and this is why it's really humbling also, because we're selling books. Books right now could be considered something that I don't have to buy that. I can go to a bin and get an old book that somebody's giving away. Somebody passed down books. Go to the library. The books are free. So when folk walk into our business and you spend your hard-earned money in our business, you take your personal time and you come to our business, that's like the ultimate, because you don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. I am so gracious of anybody. I don't care if you're coming to buy a card that's for $2.95, a mishwax stick, a book or a cup, whatever you come to bless us with, we're very thankful because you don't have to do it. And to get that and to have people wanting to do that, you got to be something special, because I see businesses around the community that I wouldn't support because of their attitude towards us. You know, I will not support them. You know, you're not going to have an item on the wall that says 99 cents, then I give you $1 and you don't even offer to give me my penny back. That's my penny. I earned that. And you should know to give me my penny back. And that's a dig on businesses in our neighborhood, because then that's why I said the competition. We need more businesses by us that are formed by people in the community. And there aren't a lot of them. So when you start getting these ideas coming from the outside, you know, it takes away from the businesses that are there that were started by people in the community.
It's powerful. You know, it's interesting because there's a word I've been using this year, and I just been reflecting on people who've coached me and people I've connected with, other entrepreneurs and business owners, and it's the word seasoned. Because the word seasoned is important because, you know, when someone's just doing something to make $1 or doing something just to make the money and there's no quality behind it, there's no passion and heart behind it. It's a different kind of passion. Make money. I'm not hating on anyone who wants to make money. We all got to eat. But compared to business owners and entrepreneurs and service providers who their values are deep. You use the word rooted. Deep rooted. It's just, and I can't help but go back to the word legacy, because these are things that will, even though things will change next year, these are the core principal things that will stay the same. They may be a little bit different here and there in different ways, but the core of these things will be the same. You know what I mean? So I think about that word season. And it's so important to be a seasoned entrepreneur, service provider, or, you know, author or podcaster, because that's going to last. The other things will come and then they'll go. It's going to shift and change. But the seasoned attitude, the seasoned mindset is going to last. You might be, you know, it might look differently. It will look differently 15 years from now. Right. But it's still going to make the impact that it was made to make. You know,
it's like a tree. As you're talking, I'm thinking about your question, CJ, and you added on, Carl. It's like a tree. You can start from the seedling, and a business can start from all of your savings, loans that you may get, or like us, just from our grinding and work. And you gotta keep molding it, keep watering it, keep taking care of it. It takes time. Yeah, there's some businesses that just fly, you know, and good for them. But businesses that are able to stand the test of time are few and far in between. And that's where we're trying to, that's our trajectory, is to stand the test of time. As long as they're books, we want to be relevant. And it takes your community to support it. You need support. If you don't have support, you don't have a business. So you want the people in your community and outside, but mainly in your community. You don't want to have a bookstore on your corner and you got 30 houses on your block and 25 of them go to the bookstore over in Newton. But there's a bookstore right on their block. It happens. It happens all the time. You know, and I think with us as Black people, we are more prone, how do I say this? We are more prone to not being able to accept the criticism of, man, I'm gonna support them. I don't have to go to, because when you understand literacy, when you understand financial literacy, when you understand legacy and how we are and were pushed out the way, we were not included in the business in this society, you understand what it takes to get that and hold on to it. So I could never accept the criticism of, no, I shouldn't say that. I don't mind being criticized if I know people who make soap and candles that I like. I'm gonna support that brother and sister and buy it from them and not go to the Walmart or somewhere else and buy it. Because I know it, in a lot of my attitude does come from being in the midst of it. But you had to learn. We had to learn also along the way. You know, if you're not supported in your business, you won't flourish. You will not flourish. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna, you know, it's not a buzzword for me, buy Black. You know, a lot of things you cannot buy Black because we don't have it. You know, we don't make the product or provide the service. So when we do, you should always support it as much as you can. Some people, oh man, I'm gonna support them and I'm gonna support them. I'm gonna support my community. And I don't expect it the same. I hope for the same. And I admire those who do that intentionally.
Yeah. I love that. Like I think that goes for anything, just supporting, like, even like with me, like us being Black, you know what I'm saying? Black podcasters, Black business owners.
That's right.
I think it's so easy to like go down to, or go on Amazon or something and buy like a book, or go here to buy this. But I think just supporting it, because like you're like, that's what I call like having your heart in it, like being a part of, having your heart in what you're a part of. You know what I'm saying? So I love that right there. I think just, I want to make sure I do that for anything I do, anything that I'm actually part of. Sometimes like you can forget because you're not really in it, but anything I'm a part of, I want to make sure I'm supporting. I'll make sure, oh, I'm gonna get this from you instead of somewhere else, because you know I'm this person too. Like I think that's important, and I think if you can get a community to do that, there's a lot of great things that are gonna happen.
That's where the patience come in.
Yeah, love that.
You know, you got to have patience, and you have to have that ability, that likability. You know, people gotta like you. You know, so it's something else, bro, to have it, and it's a consciousness also. You know, for you to say that, you have a consciousness about what you want to do, how you want to be. You're paying attention to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oof. Hey, listen, if you are listening to this episode, you are getting a whole lot of value, and I hope you are inspired. Leonard, this is amazing. You know, Clarissa, we miss you. We wish you were here. We got to have you on another time with Clarissa on. I know Clarissa's a little under the weather today, but this is just phenomenal. One other thing I think about is just the idea of being the heartbeat of your community. You know, and I love how you talked about earlier, just listening to what the community needs.
Right.
You know, being part of it. Now, here's the thing about it. The challenge is you got to be, like you mentioned, one of the core values, patient. You got to be patient and have those conversations. Even if you're not specifically asking the questions, it could be you being in the mix and listening to what people are saying.
Right. Right.
You know, and that's community. So big ups to you and Clarissa with this, you know, with what you're doing. Hats off to you. I'm blown away and inspired.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So our last question to you is where, if one was in South Africa or Australia or anywhere in the world, Boston, where can they find you? Where can they find you online?
You can find us at frugalbookstore.net.
Mm-hmm.
We have Facebook, I believe it's Frugal Books. We have Instagram, Frugal Books. We are on Twitter, Frugal Books. We are also have our physical location, 57 Warren Street, in what is now Nubian Square, but I'm gonna always say down Dudley.
Dudley.
Down Dudley.
Dudley.
Yeah. Our phone number is 617-541-1722. You can email us at frugal_books@yahoo.com. You can visit our website, like I said, frugalbookstore.net.
Awesome. And serving the community, individuals, families, schools.
That's right.
Powerful.
We're trying to change minds one book at a time.
Change minds one book at a time. We need it for our minds, y'all. And there you have it.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you would be so kind, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And or if you're listening to any of our platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one, please be so kind to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. And we'll talk to you soon.